ready to start? May the 220th General Assembly come to order. We move now from a service of worship to worshipful service together. Still the body of Christ, still people of prayer, always feasting on the heavenly banquet of God's grace. Before we begin our work together, I recognize our stated clerk, Grady Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Madam Moderator, the Book of Order establishes that the quorum of the General Assembly shall be 100 commissioners, 50 of whom shall be ruling elders, and 50 of whom shall be teaching elders, representing presbyteries of at least 1/4 of its senates. Standing Rule D2 permits that the roll be established by registration. I recommend that the roll of the 220th General Assembly be established by the list of those who have registered or will register. Based on pre-registration with General Assembly meeting service, there will be present at this Assembly 688 commissioners from 173 presbyteries, 155 young adult advisory delegates, 24 theological student advisory delegates, 8 missionary advisory delegates, and 14 ecumenical advisory delegates.
You have heard the recommendation. Are there any questions? Is there any objection? It is approved. The stated clerk will now guide us through the seating of corresponding members.
In accordance with Standing Rule B3, corresponding members are designated. Those persons are listed in the roll of participants, which is available at the registration desk.
We welcome the corresponding members to the Assembly. The members of the Committee on Local Arrangements for this Assembly have been working hard for many months to make sure that we experience and understand the meaning of hospitality during our stay here in Pittsburgh. It is my pleasure to introduce the chair of the Pittsburgh Committee on Local Arrangements, Eric Dennis, and the pastor to the Presbytery of Pittsburgh, Sheldon Sorga.
Welcome, friends. Pittsburgh Presbytery, one of the oldest presbyteries in the United States, is delighted to welcome you to one of the 2 cities named by the National Geographic magazine as among the 10 must-see sites in the United States. You can click off one thing on your bucket list. Not only local Presbyterians, but our city as a whole has spread out the welcome mat. The press has been here to watch us. The Pirates have seen fit to grace us with a homestand for the whole week that we are here. The whole area is coming downtown for the next 5 days to put on the 35th anniversary edition of the Three Rivers Regatta, complete with downtown festival, concerts featuring the likes of Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw, sandcastle sculptures. It'll be a big party down here for the next 5 days. Even Jimmy Buffett came to town to welcome us a couple of days ago. Early this week, the Pittsburgh City Council passed a resolution of welcome that I'd like to read to you. Whereas the 220th General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church will be held in downtown Pittsburgh at the David Lawrence Convention Center from Saturday, June 30th until Saturday, July 7th, with over 5,000 Presbyterians expected to attend. And whereas the General Assembly consists of commissioners elected by presbyteries and is charged with reviewing the work of synods, is responsible for matters of common concern for the whole church, and serves as a symbol of unity for the church. And whereas Pennsylvania is the home of Pittsburgh Theological Seminary, the oldest Presbyterian seminary in the denomination, yes. And Western Pennsylvania has the highest concentration of Presbyterians in the nation, with currently 148 Presbyterian churches in Allegheny County. And whereas Presbyterians played a key role in forming institutions of higher education throughout the area, such as the University of Pittsburgh, Washington and Jefferson University, Grove City College, Westminster College, and Waynesburg University, as well as playing a key role in the birthing of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center hospitals. And whereas the theme for this year's General Assembly is walking, running, soaring in hope, inspired by the passage in Isaiah 40:31, which reads, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby welcome the 220th General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church to the City of Pittsburgh, passed in Council, June 26, 2012. Believe it or not, City Council came up with all that language on their own without any help from us. Pittsburgh Presbytery does trace its origins to the 18th century, when British forces established Fort Pitt after vanquishing the French Catholic Fort Duquesne, and Scotch-Irish Presbyterians began pouring into the region from the east. By 1800, a number of Presbyterian congregations were flourishing in this area, and Pittsburgh Presbytery was well established. Pittsburgh was the birthplace of the United Presbyterian Church in North America in 1858, a conservative offshoot from the older Presbyterian Church in the USA. Churches affiliated with both of these denominations set up shop in many of the neighborhoods in Pittsburgh, which is why many of Pittsburgh's 150 Presbyterian churches are situated nearly back to back in the whole of the Allegheny County. Those two denominations reunited into the single United Presbyterian Church in the USA 100 years later in 1958, right here in Pittsburgh, at the last General Assembly to have convened here. That assembly celebration of the church's unity spilled onto the streets, as we will see momentarily on a video, in a glorious reunion march, a parade that didn't have to share attention with trivial things like regattas, rock concerts, and baseball. Our hope and prayer is that this assembly, like its 1958 predecessor, will provide a compelling witness to the power of the Holy Spirit to unite in Jesus Christ people who otherwise would go their separate ways. We believe and live the truth that God's work of reconciliation in Christ goes far deeper and wider than anyone can possibly imagine. Sam Shoemaker, a famous Pittsburgh citizen of the 20th century who helped the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous to their own sobriety, regularly gathered city leaders atop Mount Washington, overlooking downtown Pittsburgh, to pray for the city, an ecumenical tradition that continues to this day. He said he had a dream that one day Pittsburgh would be more known for God than for steel. Today we would add a little asterisk to that Pittsburgh would be more known for devotion to God than to the Steelers, or the Penguins or the Pirates for that matter. The first year this wonderful convention center opened a few years ago, it hosted the World Gathering of the United Methodist Church. Exactly a year ago this week, this same place hosted the National Gathering of the Mennonite Church. And exactly a year from now, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America will hold its national conference here. Other church bodies also have gathered here over the few years of its history. Maybe Sam Shoemaker's prayer is being answered. Together with the adjacent presbyteries of Washington, Redstone, Beaver Butler, Shenango, Upper Ohio Valley, Lake Erie, Kiskiminetas, and Huntington, the Synod of the Trinity, and the regional Presbyterian institutions of higher learning, including Pittsburgh Theological Seminary and Westminster, Grove City, and Waynesburg colleges, each of which has contributed generously both financial and people resources to help host this General Assembly. Together with these, our treasured friends and neighbors, Pittsburgh Presbytery welcomes you to our community for the next 8 days. We hope we can get it cooler for you. It is our privilege to be your hosts, and we hope that a strong dose of wonderful black and gold hospitality will make you want to return often.
Madam Moderator, Mr. Stady Clerk, sisters and brothers of the faith, on behalf of the entire executive team of the Committee on Local Arrangements, which is commonly known as COLA, it's my privilege to welcome you to Pittsburgh and to the gathering of the 220th General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church, USA. We hope that your stay in Pittsburgh will be a pleasant one. I can assure you that the ministry and mission of the Committee on Local Arrangements is one of welcome and hospitality. And so our COLA team has worked to make your stay with us as pleasant as we possibly can. You will see COLA volunteers wearing the black and gold pinafores. Now you do remember that you're in Pittsburgh, they will be black and gold. If you have questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to ask any of the volunteers. We are committed to doing everything we can to be helpful to you. There are a number of special activities that are planned while you are here, and we hope that you and those who are with us over these next few days will be able to enjoy these many activities. There are printed schedules of the activities that are available. And of course, you are more than welcome to search our COLA website at www.cola2012.org. We hope that you will take from your time with us a renewed sense of an expectant future. We are delighted to share our hometown with you. We hope that you will feel at home while you are with us. And now, join us as we walk through a history of Presbyterianism in Western Pennsylvania and the neighborhoods of Pittsburgh.
Welcome to Pittsburgh, the hub of the tri-state area. Experience now how we walk, run, and soar. This region is known for steel, sports, world-class colleges and universities, world-renowned hospitals and innovative medical procedures and cures. Home to Heinz 57 varieties, Alcoa Aluminum, Behr, PPG Paints, and Westinghouse are a few familiar names. A place of major industry known around the world. In 1758, French troops abandoned Fort Duquesne and British forces officially named this place Pittsburgh. Since that time, innovation has been the hallmark of Pittsburgh and its neighboring communities. It is the place where things like railway tunnels, steel rails, alternating current, nuclear power, polio vaccine, radio and television, ketchup, organ transplants, and search engines were invented, and innovation continues to happen here.
Where two major rivers, the Allegheny and the Monongahela, come together to form the mighty Ohio River. Where Colonel George Washington spent time on horseback exploring this new territory. In similar fashion, a young Presbyterian minister from Philadelphia was an itinerant pastor traveling from homestead to homestead as he crossed over the Allegheny Mountains, performing ministerial duties as well as carrying the mail from the East in the mid-1700s. The Reverend John McMillan, a Johnny Appleseed of sorts. He planted churches, helping the Scotch-Irish settlers establish Presbyterianism throughout the region.
From a traditional minister in 1776, we span the years to other noteworthy events, this being one of the most concentrated areas of Presbyterians in the United States. Churches started popping up across Pennsylvania in the 1700s and 1800s, from Philadelphia to Carlisle to Hollidaysburg to Mount Pleasant to the Monroeville area just east of Pittsburgh along the Ford's Trail to Henry Highland Garnett, who served as a supply pastor at Grace Memorial Presbyterian Church, the first African-American Presbyterian church in Pittsburgh. Garnett was part of the movement to abolish slavery and helped with the Underground Railroad. Then Service Presbyterian Church near Aliquippa, where the roots for the present-day Pittsburgh Theological Seminary, our oldest seminary, became a springboard for a Presbyterian Mission Society formed through churches being connected to missionaries in 1837. These missionaries went out and served throughout the world. This year, we celebrate 175 years of mission for the Presbyterian Church, USA.
2 more churches forming across the region in neighborhoods and communities of all shapes and sizes, and then to the early 1900s, when Pittsburgh's change to being a green city began with Rachel Carson, writer, scientist, and ecologist who grew up in Springdale, Pennsylvania. In her book, Silent Spring, she challenged the practices of agricultural scientists and the government, and called for a change in the way humankind viewed the natural world and cared for it.
Fast forward to the invention of radio. Presbyterians could be heard on the first radio stations KDKA and KQV with worship services and faith healer Catherine Kuhlman. Unusual for Presbyterian churches, her faith healing ministry has a unique history at First Presbyterian Church of Pittsburgh, starting about 1950. 1958 in Pittsburgh was when Presbyterians reunited again at a General Assembly. Pittsburgh has been the site of 3 different denominational mergers within the Presbyterian family in the U.S.
African American ministers and elders took up the cause of civil rights during the 1960s with leaders like the Reverend Leroy Patrick following in the footsteps of Martin Luther King Jr. with nonviolent demonstrations for black people's rights.
Then we moved to the beginning of the first public television station, WQED, and a most unique call by God for children's programming with puppets, as Pittsburgh Presbytery ordained everyone's favorite neighbor, the Reverend Fred Rogers. Fred Rogers was a Presbyterian minister ordained to care for children and their families through television.
Speedy delivery. Hello, everybody. Speedy delivery. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pittsburgh. Hello. Speedy delivery. Look. How do you do? Hello there. My name is Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. And I've been making deliveries on the neighborhood right here in Pittsburgh, or from Pittsburgh, I should say, for over 40 years, and I'm here to welcome you all to our neighborhood. So thank you for having your conference in Pittsburgh after all these years. Now, I have an idea. Pretend, just humor me, pretend that you're 5 years old, and here's what I do when I meet crowds of children. Hold your hand up like this. It's a pretend handshake, and move it up and down. Speedy delivery, 2 hands, speedy delivery. Welcome to the neighborhood. And, the COLA people have been working hard to plan your visit, and you've heard some suggestions, and I have some other suggestions if you have time, what you can see in Pittsburgh. One of my favorites is the Pittsburgh Symphony, a few blocks away at the Cultural Trust. There's also the Civic Light Opera that has operas all summer, one of the oldest venues in the country right here in Pittsburgh. So take advantage of the Cultural District when you're visiting. And my very favorite, I always did it as a kid. There used to be along the hill about 12 inclines. There are 2 left, and they're the originals. If you have a chance to take an incline ride up to Mount Washington, you'll see the spectacular Pittsburgh in all its glory. It's a wonderful city, so when you leave it, tell people the surprise you got by coming to Pittsburgh, because I'm sure it changed a lot of your minds. Now, you saw in the video that Fred Rogers began his program right here in Pittsburgh. You know something? I want to tell you a quick little story, then I'll make a speedy delivery. He started his television career at NBC in New York City, and he looked around at television for children at that time and said, it's pretty bad. People were throwing pies in each other's faces, and that was entertainment for young children. He said, we can do better. So he decided, he heard about WQED starting in Pittsburgh. He came here, was the first program manager, and started a program called the Children's Corner. And at the same time, he enrolled in the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. It took him about 8 years to be ordained, but he did it in between taping programs of the Children's Corner. And one of his assignments was to go to the Arsenal Child Development Center, which at the time was part of the University of Pittsburgh. Dr. Spock and Eric Erickson were working there at the time, and Fred worked directly with them. But one of his assignments was to go to a child care center on campus and observe. Each week, there would be a parent coming in to show the children what that parent did as a job. There were telephone repairmen and doctors, etc. One day, there was a sculptor came in, and he said nothing but put a big clump of clay right in the middle of the table where all the children were sitting. And there is a Quaker saying that attitudes are caught, not taught. And this sculptor started to knead the sculpture, just didn't say a word, didn't say, here's how you do it, just did it right in front of those children. And for months later, the art objects out of that class were spectacular. And Fred sort of took that saying in a way, and that's what he did on television. If you love what you're doing in front of children, they'll catch it. And I think that's the success of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Those children caught Fred's love for children, for childhood, and his respect for childhood. And, oh yes, and one more thing before I go. There's a statue near the Heinz Field. It's called Celebration of Children. And it's Fred, but it's there to remind us all about the past, the present, and the future, and that's children. And we're using Fred, or the city's using Fred as a symbol of the future of children. So, welcome to Pittsburgh. Let me see if I have any other things I wanted. Oh yes, one more thing. There's going to be a special event on Tuesday evening. I'll be there at the Children's Museum. You should see that, so come over. I guess your programs will tell you. And one more thing, after this little spot right here, I'm going to Hall B and sign some Mr. Rogers' books, so if you're free, come on over. And one more thing, humor me one more time. I'm going to count to 3, and you'll get me off the stage if you all say speedy delivery. So, and you're included too, all right? So here we go. And again, welcome to Pittsburgh. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody. Speedy delivery. Welcome to Pittsburgh. See you around the neighborhood. Bye-bye. See ya. Speedy delivery.
An area known for sports with names like Johnny Unitas, Joe Montana, Joe Namath, and Dan Marino became the City of Champions. With a familiar name of Rooney in the 1970s, as the Steelers and Pirates put together some championships with names like Roberto Clemente and Willie Stargell. Then there was Franco Harris making an immaculate reception that led to a string of NFL Super Bowls yet to be matched by other teams. Then we can't leave out the winners of the prestigious Stanley Cup several times over. The National Hockey League Pittsburgh Penguins with Lemieux, Crosby, and Malkin, three of the finest players to play the sport. There have been many great players of all sports coming out of high schools and college programs scattered throughout this region, such as Latrobe Presbyterian Church golf great Arnold Palmer. In 1956, the University of Pittsburgh's invitation to the Sugar Bowl was surrounded by controversy. Pitt was the first team to bring an African-American, Bobby Greer, to play in a Southeastern Bowl game in the segregated South. The Reverend Jimmy Joe Robinson, later pastor at Bidwell Presbyterian Church in the Manchester area of Pittsburgh, was one of the first African-American football players at the University of Pittsburgh. The highly acclaimed Pittsburgh Marathon has also made its mark on the running world as a test of stamina and endurance, with runners weaving through the hills and valleys making up the city and its neighborhoods.
We know that the General Assembly can be like running a marathon with all the election meetings, the business of the Assembly, the meetings of the committee, and the meetings of the whole Assembly, gathered to make important decisions for the life of our church. COLA has placed a water bottle at each of your seats to remind you that they are here to encourage you, to come alongside you, and to aid in whatever ways they can to help you run the marathon of this week with perseverance and with an endurance, as the body of Christ will definitely be exercised through your efforts this week. Always look ahead to the pioneer of our faith, Jesus Christ.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff of Endeavor.
Thanks for spending the 4th of July in Pittsburgh with us and the prayers of over 200,000 Presbyterians living in the region are with the work of this meeting of the General Assembly.
Well, it looks like it's time for all of you, or as we say here in the Berg, yins, to soar.
May you be as wise as owls this week. On behalf of COLA and all our partner presbyteries and institutions, we are giving you a gift to mark your time here in Pittsburgh with fond memories a bookmark from Wendell August Forge. May it be a memory for you of this week for years to come.
Thank you. Grady, I could be wrong on this, but has an owl ever appeared on the stage of General Assembly before?
Mm-hmm. We've had a few strange birds up here before, Madam Moderator, but I don't think we've had an owl.
I think we should show our appreciation to the Committee on Local Arrangements for all their hard work. Thank you. I now recognize Catherine Purvis, moderator of the General Assembly Nominating Committee, who will describe the process by which the Nominating Committee places names in nomination and the procedure for making nominations from the floor.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I am Catherine Purvis, the moderator of the General Assembly Nominating Committee. One important aspect of the Assembly's work this week will be the voting on those who are nominated to serve on the various committees, boards, and agencies of the General Assembly. There are approximately 180 positions which will be filled, and the General Assembly Nominating Committee has received over 300 applications from individuals eager to serve Christ in this way. As in the local church and at other levels of church government, the GA Nominating Committee's work involves prayerful discernment and a genuine commitment to finding those persons who have the gifts and the calling to contribute to the work of the national church. It is also an important part of the remit of the GA Nominating Committee to provide you a slate of nominees that reflects the diversity of the church. This includes our commitment to racial ethnic diversity, the inclusion of men and women, young and old, people with different theological perspectives, persons from all parts of the country, teaching and ruling elders and lay people, and those who have disabilities. Be assured that the GA Nominating Committee has worked long and hard to present a representative and a well-qualified slate of people who feel called to serve. The GA Nominating Committee report may be found on PCBiz at 00-02. Brief bios of those persons whose names will be placed in nomination this Friday are available at our GANC booth in the exhibit hall, or you may access them through our website, pcusa.org/nominations. This list of nominees was compiled by the committee after 2 years of careful work as we took into account the expressed current needs of every GA committee and attentively considered each one of the applicants in our broad pool of potential nominees. The standing rules of the General Assembly allow for commissioners to challenge the nomination of someone on the slate by submitting an alternative name for consideration by the General Assembly. Forms for commissioner nominations may be obtained at the GA Information Center on the second floor of the Convention Center. These nomination forms must be returned to the Information Center by 1:30 p.m. on Monday. You will need to provide your reasons for challenging the committee's nomination. The GA Nominating Committee website will provide you with committee descriptions and time commitments required for service. Before submitting a name, Be sure that your nominee is both willing and able to serve. And remember to note on the form the name of the person whose nomination you are challenging. If there are going to be challenges, these will be announced at a plenary session on Wednesday. Your election of the persons who will serve on over 30 General Assembly committees, boards, and agencies will ensure that we have the best leadership to carry on the work of the General Assembly after your week here is done. I encourage you to consider prayerfully the persons on the GANC slate who have been nominated as you prepare to vote on Friday. This is an important way in which you can support the ongoing work of the General Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. You have heard Ms. Purvis explain the process for making nominations from the floor. As you consider making such nominations, please remember to honor the integrity of the nomination and election process. If you do make a nomination in opposition to a person nominated by the GA Nominating Committee, please be prepared to speak to the positive contribution your nominee will make. Thank you. As you meet this week and strive to make the best decisions you can for the church, you must, of course, be open to the stirrings of the Spirit to guide those decisions. One important factor among many to consider is the impact that any particular decision will have on our budget. I now recognize Joey Bailey, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of the PCUSA General Assembly Mission Council, to help us understand the financial implications process and how that process can help inform the decisions made by the Assembly. Joey.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, for giving me this opportunity to present to you a brief overview of the financial implications that will impact your work at this General Assembly. This overview is designed to help you with several questions that most commissioners will have. I will explain what a financial implication is and what generates one, which budget is impacted, the per capita or the mission budget. I will describe the financial implications process, and finally, what questions should you be asking? What is a financial implication? Everything worth doing comes with a price. Financial implications result from proposed items brought to the Assembly which have financial costs. Some examples are a new program or office, a study group, publication, task force, policy development, or referrals. Many items of business before your committees will have financial implications from one or more of these examples. What generates a financial implication? Items of business come in 4 different formats: overtures, RGAs, which are reports to the General Assembly, referrals, commissioners' resolutions. Overtures are generated by synods and presbyteries. Reports to the General Assembly are generated by mission programs, advocacy committees, advisory committees, and special committees. Referrals are brought from previous General Assemblies and brought back for action to the current Assembly. Commissioners' resolutions originate at GA when 2 commissioners join together for a new item of business for the Assembly to consider. Business and committees. All items of business are assigned to the Assembly committee based on the subject matter thereof. One deciding factor will be the financial implications. Your committee is presented with the challenge of deciding whether items on your agenda should be recommended for approval to the full Assembly. Your committee may also recommend a change in a business item. If that item had financial implications, the change should be reviewed with our financial implications team to see if the change impacts the cost of implementing the action. We have an experienced team of professionals from our staff who work with me to support all business at this General Assembly. They are available to your committee to answer any questions that might arise concerning financial implications. The team is composed of Chris Nicholas from the OGA, Denise Hampton, Andrea McNichol, and Cindy Schultz of the GAMC. Together, my team has over 99 years' experience in serving this church. There are three basic functions of the team. They will identify the business with financial implications, determine which budget is impacted, and provide a cost worksheet for each item. If an item of business is approved, a budget will be affected, either the per capita or the mission budget. The worksheet details the components used to calculate the costs, for example, the number of members in a task force, the number of meetings, duration of meetings, the total cost per year, and which budget will be affected. During the committee meetings, the team will track the items with recommendations to GA for approval and disapproval. The status of pending actions will be often updated during your plenary sessions. Again, let me state that the members of this team are available to answer questions that might arise during committee meetings or the plenary sessions. Your committee resource coordinator can access our team when necessary to complete your committee's business. Which budget is impacted? The mission budget or the per capita budget? These are two separate budgets before this assembly for action. These budgets have been carefully prepared, thoroughly reviewed, and have the recommendation and approval of the General Assembly Mission Council and the Committee on the Office of the General Assembly. Within the GAMC, mission is carried out within 6 ministry areas: compassion, peace, and justice, evangelism and church growth, racial, ethnic, women's ministry, Presbyterian women, theology, worship, and education, world mission, and vocation. Supporting all these areas are the offices of Communications and Funds Development, Shared Services, and Executive Administration. These valuable functions enable the ministry of PCUSA to be delivered throughout the church and the entire world. Per capita, strengthening the sense of community among all Presbyterians. Per capita is how we mutually share the cost of coming together to discern the Spirit's leading for the future. GA sessions includes the direct cost of the site, the Committee on Local Arrangements, mileage and per diem. Committees and commission expenses include judicial, nominations, ecumenical relations, advisory. Ecumenical expenses include National and World Councils of Churches, World Alliance of Reformed Churches. Office of the General Assembly covers the cost of the stated clerk, constitutional services, assembly arrangements, and historical services. The vocation ministry supports presbyteries in leadership and development support. General Assembly Mission Council costs include meetings, travel and per diem, task forces, executive leadership, legal, independent CPA and review and statements. Support services covers building operations, finance and accounting, and information technology. The GA mission budget is affected if the GA instructs the GAMC, for example, to provide staff and financial support to implement a program such as church development or redevelopment, to develop resource materials, or to study a specific source. The per capita budget is affected, for example, if the GA requests the stated clerk to send a letter or distribute a report or publication. The GA forms a task force to study and report back items related to GA arrangements or GA journals. Now let's move into the specifics of the financial implications process. Remember that financial implications come from 4 sources: overtures, RGAs, referrals, and commissioners' resolutions. Here are 2 actual items of business that were before the 219th GA in 2010. They are used here to illustrate specific examples that you could refer to later. Just go to PC Biz for 219th GA. Overture 10007 went to the Form of Government Committee. The overture commissions the appointment of a special committee on exhaustive authoritative interpretations of the Book of Order. The financial implications worksheet shows a 6-member committee with 2 face-to-face meetings. In addition, there are multiple conference calls, go-to meetings, and administrative expenses. The RGA from the Advisory Committee on Social Witness Policy went to the Social Justice Issues Committee. The report requests the development and/or provision of a study material for individual and congregational use to stimulate dialogue and action on the concerns identified in loving our neighbors, equity and quality in public education. These are the total costs calculated for both of these items of business. The costs were for the year 2011. Overture 10007 affects the per capita budget. RGA from the AC swap affects the mission budget. Both of these items were approved by committee and the full General Assembly. How financial implications are determined. There are costs for publications, task force, special committees, teleconferencing as examples. We will use electronic means whenever possible to save money. Items to consider are the number of members, number of meetings, the travel, the per diem, salary and benefits, publications, speakers, consultants, conference calls, administrative costs. Teleconferencing would be used as much as possible. Upon completion of an item of business with financial implications, the committee assistant will complete the bottom portion of the financial implications form you see here before you. Be sure that that is signed and sent forward to our team. Financial implications of GA actions before you for the mission budget for this General Assembly in 2013, $3.4 million. For 2014, almost $2.5 million. Each item with financial implications should be carefully considered as these funds are not, I repeat, are not included in the proposed budgets before you. Some items of business have no financial implications for this cycle, but could have significant impacts for future cycles. The preliminary report is subject to change as commissioners' resolutions are reviewed for financial implications. I just reviewed the first 7, and so far we don't look like we have added any at this time. In addition, there could be changes as our committees complete their business. On the per capita budget side, before you are items for the 2013 budget, just about approximately $526,000, which would result in an increase of 27 cents in the per capita rate. And in 2014, $322,000, which would cause another 17-cent per capita increase. Currently before you, the proposed budget rate of $6.80 is before you for 2013 and $6.98 for 2014. That is before any of the items that you're considering at this assembly. If all items of business before you were passed, the rate for 2013 would be $7.07 and $7.15 for 2014. What questions should you ask? Does the business before your committee contain recommendations that require the General Assembly to take a special action? If the actions recommended are approved by the GA, what would it cost? Does the recommendation request a publication or distribution of something? That a task force be formed to study or develop policy? Has the funding of such action been identified, or does it require additional funding? Which budget might it impact? Is the proposed action important enough to stop doing some other ministry and mission? Is the proposed action important enough to increase the per capita rate in order to fund it? The mission budget impact for 20 and 13 may be adjusted to include the financial implications that you might approve by stopping a program or initiative or by identifying additional revenue from another source. The GAMC will make the necessary adjustments at its September 2012 meeting for those items. The per capita budget for 2013 and 14 will increase according to the amount of implications that you approve at the Assembly. Friday night, the two committees responsible for the budgets will meet. At the Saturday morning plenary session, they will present the 2013-2014 mission and per capita budgets for your approval. Thank you for your kind attention. Remember, my team is ready to assist you at any time. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Joey. At this time, I'm going to ask the Reverend Landon Whitsitt, Vice Moderator of the 219th General Assembly, to assume the chair.
At this time, we will begin an orientation to our work together. Your time in this session will be spent on learning the nuts and bolts of how we do business during plenary meetings. So I recognize the stated clerk, Grady Parsons, to conduct our orientation. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Some of you are veterans of the Assembly, well familiar with our procedures, but if this Assembly is like the most, the vast majority of you are attending for your first time or here for the first time in a very long time. As we start each plenary meeting, and perhaps other times during the Assembly, you will be invited to form into small groups for prayer or conversation. To do this, we are asking those whose tabletops are blue to turn around and form groups with whose tabletops are white. Blue turns back to those behind them. So do that now, if those who are willing to please stand or sit. Introduce yourselves and welcome each other. Those blue turning around to those behind them.
Kind of you to arrange that.
Those financial implications, there's a background noise from PowerPoint. We're railroading.
Thank you for letting me serve. It's a privilege. You know that.
Privilege to serve you.
Can I grab one of those comfy roller chairs?
Oh, yeah. And that's Cindy's coat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, much better.
Water man, yeah, she didn't drink out of it. They said we want some of that. It's just, that's right up.
Okay, thank you. Let's return to our orientation session. Again, we'll begin each plenary session in prayer in our small group time, and may also use small groups at other times just to have conversation with each other about business before the Assembly. So let us continue to learn about the Assembly. In an Assembly this large, you can imagine that there are rules and procedures to follow which make sure that everyone is heard. Please meet some of the people who are volunteering their time to make what we do together in this room go smoothly. They will explain some of the procedures. Call on mic one.
Friends, my name is Ken Hockenberry, and I'm a pastor in Kentucky and also stated clerk of Mid-Kentucky Presbytery, and I volunteer here at the General Assembly as a parliamentary assistant during the plenary meetings. At every microphone you see throughout the rooms, they're all lit up now, there are parliamentary assistants, and we are your parliamentary assistants. We're here to help you with parliamentary procedures, questions you might have in forming motions. We manage the microphones, and there are 2 of us at each microphone, and we can also communicate through a headset system to the plenary, to the platform, if there are any special concerns. 2 microphones are designated for advisory delegate microphones, and that's microphones 2 and 6. Those are for advisory delegates only. The other microphones are for commissioners' use. In order to address the Assembly, you need to come to a microphone and be standing by one in order to be recognized. Thank you.
It's my turn. Mr. Moderator, my name is Teresa Howell, and I'm a ruling elder at First Presbyterian Church, Franklin, Tennessee, and stated clerk of the Presbytery of Middle Tennessee. I volunteer as a parliamentary assistant during plenary to assist the moderator in providing a fair debate when a large number of speakers are expected. An electronic speaker recognition system is available. When you go to a microphone, the parliamentary assistant will scan the identification code printed on your name badge. You will then be asked to confirm that you are the person whose name appears on the keypad. The assistant will then enter the code to identify the reason you are seeking the attention of the moderator. There are 5 reasons: speaking in favor of an action, speaking against an action, asking a question, making a motion, calling for the question, asking to end debate. Your name, reason for seeking recognition, and microphone number will appear on the screen on the platform. The moderator can then choose from the different microphones to lead the assembly in a balanced consideration of the issue.
Mr. Moderator, my name is Terry Epling, and I'm the stated clerk from the Presbytery of Giddings Lovejoy. And I volunteer as a parliamentary assistant during plenary. This system mirrors the paddle recognition system. The paddles, and yes, they are badminton paddles, use different colors to indicate to the moderator and the rest of the assembly the reason you are standing to address the moderator. When you step up to the microphone, you may be given a paddle, which is green if you are speaking in favor of a motion, or red if you're speaking against a motion, or yellow if you want to ask a question, or blue if you're making a motion or moving an amendment to a motion, or finally, orange if you're calling the question to end debate.
Moderator, my name is Vilmarie Cintrón Olivieri. I'm a ruling elder at the First Spanish Presbyterian Church in Miami, and I also volunteer offering interpretation in Spanish during the plenary. If a Spanish-speaking or Korean-speaking commissioner or advisory delegate wishes to address the assembly, there are interpreters available. By coming to the microphone and saying the word interpreter to a parliamentary assistant, arrangements will be made to have an interpreter come to that microphone and for the moderator to allow time for the person to arrive. Mi nombre es Vilmarie Cintrón Olivieri, soy anciana gobernante y miembro de la primera iglesia presbiteriana hispana en Miami y también sirvo como voluntaria ofreciendo interpretación al español durante el plenario. Si un comisionado o comisionada, delegado asesor, advisory delegate, desea dirigirse a la asamblea en español, puede acercarse a cualquiera de los micrófonos y solicitar al asistente parlamentario un intérprete. Con decir la palabra intérprete será suficiente. El asistente entonces hará los arreglos para que el intérprete llegue hasta el micrófono y el moderador o moderadora estará alertado a proveer tiempo para que llegue la asistencia. Recuerde recoger su auricular en el área de asistencia especial, en el área de registro.
Mr. Moderator, my name is Myung-Sung Han, a teaching elder of the Korean Presbyterian Church of Louisville, and I also volunteer offering interpretation in Korean during plenary. 저는 루이빌 한인장로교회 한명성 목사입니다. 저와 다른 두 분이 전체 회의 때 한국말 통역으로 봉사하겠습니다. 특별히 총대나 어드바이저리 델리게이트 중에서 우리말로 발언하기를 원하시면 저희가 돕겠습니다. 마이크로폰으로 오셔서 의사진행 도우미들께 통역이 필요하다고 말씀하시면 됩니다. 단순히 도우미들께 인터프리터하고 말만 해도 저희가 와서 통역을 돕겠습니다. 그리고 통역 디바이스가, 리시버가 레지스트레이션 에리아에 있는 스페셜 어시스턴트라고 쓴 그 부스에 있는데 아직 아무도 빌려가신 분이 없다고 그러시는데 꼭 가져가셔서 그 리시버를 듣고서 한국말 통역을 들어주시면 감사하겠습니다.
We are very grateful for the gifts these people bring to the assembly, allowing us to be a church that's open to the voices of all of its members. Please understand that due to time limits on debate and other factors, not everyone who wishes to speak to a particular issue may be able to do so. The parliamentary assistants at each microphone have been trained to help you through the process. And again, remember, you must go to a microphone to speak, and that 2 of the microphones, 2 and 6, are to be used only by advisory delegates, and the other mics are to be used only by commissioners.
My name is Steve Smith. I retired as the stated clerk of the Presbytery of the Pacific, and I volunteer to work with the script docket for the plenary sessions. Commissioners making motions, including amendments, are required to write out their motion on a form that is available from each of the parliamentary assistants. The moderator will then use these forms in order to know where it is that the item is being spoken to. It helps the Assembly when we project the text on the screen, but be warned, it takes time for a motion to be transcribed so that it can be projected. So if you have a long motion, it is best to turn it in well before the item of business is before the body. We are glad to accept motions at the beginning of each of the plenary meetings pertinent to the business of that session.
Once debate has ended, several voting methods may be used by the Assembly, including common consent, as we did earlier, a voice vote, or show of hands. Electronic voting may be new to you. Voting by using your keypad provides both accuracy and confidentiality. That keypad in front of you is not, I repeat, not a television remote. So you cannot change the channels on the screens in front of the Assembly. These keypads are actually a wireless electronic voting device. For our purposes, the only functioning buttons are the on switch in the lower right hand and the number keys which will be used for voting. None of the other keys will be functioning. You can only vote on the keypad assigned to your seat, but you must take the keypad with you if you're going to speak at a microphone so that you won't miss an opportunity to vote. Do not take the keypad out of the seating area defined by the blue curtains, and do not vote on someone else's keypad. Anyone who observes this happening may challenge the vote and will have to repeat the vote again. One item of note, you do not need to point it at the screen for it to register its vote.
So the first step is to make sure that the voting keypad is turned on. Once it is on, it will not need to be turned off. The battery will outlast even the longest debate that you will have, I assure you. So at this point, why don't you make sure that your voting keypad is turned on, or for the geeks in the room, make sure your phasers are set to stun. When the keypad is ready to receive a vote, the screen is going to light up and it's going to display some instructions, and that's how you know that it's time to vote. When you cast your vote, it is almost immediately received by antennas which are sweeping the room. If it is received within the period when voting is open, the message will automatically send a received message. But that message is going to enter a queue, and sometimes it may not appear on your screen until after the voting is closed. Whenever your keypad displays a received message, it can only mean that the vote was received while the voting period was open. Hitting the buttons repeatedly will only force a delay in the machine, which sends the received message. Also, you can change your vote during the active voting process. Only the last vote that you enter is going to be counted. Now, we have also found that it is helpful to set the pad down after you vote. It is not delicate, but it works best when it is allowed to do its work in peace. Yes, I am also not delicate, but I work best when I'm allowed to do my work in peace. Ask my children. You do not need to press the send button on your keypad. The moderator will tell you when to vote, and a countdown will be projected on the video screens. When the voting is closed, a graph will appear indicating the results. During the polling of the advisory delegates, only the keypads assigned to advisory delegates will be active. Likewise, during voting by commissioners, only keypads assigned to commissioners will be active. Please contact the nearest parliamentary assistant if you believe that your keypad is not working properly. They will call the technicians to take care of the problem. The technicians have a computer program that helps them to quickly isolate a problem with any of the keypads. Remember, please remember, you do not need to see the received message before the end of voting. So, why don't we take an opportunity to practice our voting process? Now, please make sure that your voting pad is turned on. Does everyone have their voting pad turned on? All right. We want to get a record of how many voting keypads are present simply by hitting the number 1 button. So first, the advisory delegates. If you are an advisory delegate, and if you are here, please enter the number 1. Please press the 1 button when your keypad is activated. Remember, only vote if you're here. All right, advisory delegates, please complete your voting. Has any advisory delegate who is here not voted? Okay, we will await the results. We must still be receiving votes. Awesome. It must be those delegates who are not here that are voting. That must be what it is. Okay. Oh, we have 100% people that are here. That's fantastic. Awesome. Oh, the missionaries. What? Seriously? Really? Oh. How can we trust them with the gospel if they're not even here? I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. The state clerk is, what is the circumference of a lightning bolt? Now, let's poll the commissioners. If you are a commissioner and you are here, please enter the number 1 when your keypad is active. Commissioners, please vote now. All right, commissioners, please complete your voting. Did anyone not vote? Did anyone not press the number 1? Okay, then we will await the results. Let's see if you can do better than the missionary advisory delegates. All right, 642. Good job, y'all. At this point, I would like to recognize Ruling Elder Alma-Jean Marion, a representative from the General Assembly Committee on Representation, to give us an opportunity to further practice our keypads.
My name is Alma-Jean Marion. I am a ruling elder from the Senate of Alaska Northwest, and I'm a volunteer member of the General Assembly Committee on Representation. We have 5 questions that will allow you to practice using your voting pads. They also provide us with a snapshot of the commissioners and advisory delegates and give you a sense for who is serving with you. Mr. Moderator, will you please poll first the advisory delegates and then the commissioners with the following question. How many times have you previously attended a General Assembly as a commissioner or advisory delegate?
All right, we are going to poll the advisory delegates first. You see your options on the screen. +1 if this is your first time, 2 second, 3 third, 4 4 or more times. Advisory delegates, please vote when your keypad is active. Delegates, please begin completing your voting. Are there any delegates that did not get an opportunity to vote? All right, then we will await the results. Okay. All right, 95% student advisory, theological student advisory delegates, 98% youths, 80% ecumenical advisory delegates for the first time, and the missionaries 2 times. That's the majority at 67%. Fantastic. All right, commissioners, you have been advised as to how many times you've been to General Assembly. So we will now poll the commissioners. Commissioners, please vote when your keypad is active. All right, commissioners, please wrap up your voting. Are there any commissioners that did not get an opportunity to place their vote? Okay, then we will await the results. And first-timers have it with 488 votes. Second timers 18%, 116, 3, 4%, 29, 4 or more. Wow, who are you? I want to meet you. That's fantastic. Almagine.
Mr. Moderator, will you please poll first the advisory delegates and then the commissioners with the following question. What is your gender and ordination status?
All right, we are going to, again, poll the advisory delegates first. This is our question. What is your gender and orientation status, ordination status? Wow. Not cool. Okay. Oh my. Number 1, please vote 1 if you are a female teaching elder, otherwise known as minister. Number 2, please vote 2 if you are a male teaching elder or minister. Vote 3 if you are a female ruling elder. Vote 4 if you are a male ruling elder. 5 if you are a female, neither a ruling nor a teaching elder. And 6, male, neither a ruling nor a teaching elder. Those are your votes. So advisory delegates, please vote when your keypad is active. Advisory delegates, please begin completing your voting. Are there any advisory delegates who have not voted? Okay, then we will await results. Okay, commissioners, you have been advised. Obviously, 5 and 6 do not apply to you, commissioners. You either have to be a ruling or a teaching elder. So again, we are going to ask what your gender and ordination status is. 1 is female teaching elder. 2, male teaching elder. 3 female ruling elder, 4 male ruling elder. Commissioners, please vote when your keypad is active. Commissioners, please wrap up your voting. Are there any commissioners who have not had an opportunity to vote? Okay, then we will await results. And 127 of you are female teaching elders, 189 of you are male teaching elders, 67 of you are female ruling elders, 156 are male ruling elders, and of course there's always a couple. One each of you are neither ruling nor teaching elder. All right. Good job.
Mr. Moderator, will you please poll first the advisory delegates and then the commissioners with the following question. What is your age?
All right, advisory delegates, we will poll you first. This is confidential. You need to know that. Advisory delegates, what is your age? Please press 1 if you are under 18, 2 if you are 18 to 25, 3 if you are 26 to 35, 4 if you are 36 to 45, 5 if you are 46 to 55, 6 if you are 56 to 64, and 7 if you are 65 and older. Advisory delegates, please vote when your keypad is active. Oh, nice. Outstanding. That's for the geeks in the house. Advisory delegates, have you please complete your voting. Has any advisory delegate not had an opportunity to vote? All right, then we will await results. All right, so of the TSADs, 18% are 18 to 25, 36% 26 to 35, 9% 36 to 45, 27% 46 to 55, and 9% 56 to 64 of our YADs. Oh, YADs, come on, really? Just remember, presbyteries, you sent them. Okay. See, the missionaries are doing better this time around. 17% of them are 26 to 35, outstanding. 17% are 46 to 55, and 33% each are 56 to 64 or 65 and older. Fantastic. Oh, we have to do commissioners now. Of course, right, because that's why you're here. So commissioners, we are now going to poll you on your age. Again, this is confidential. Please press 1 if you're under 18, 2 if you're 18 to 25, 3 if you are 26 to 35, 4 36 to 45, 5 46 to 55, 6 56 to 64, and 7 65 and older. Commissioners, please vote when your keypad is active. That's right. Please begin completing your voting. All right, are there any commissioners who have not had an opportunity to vote? Okay, I see one. And I think we're good. Anyone else? Fantastic. All right, we will await results. And we have one commissioner under, two commissioners under 18. 5% of you are 26 to 35. 9% of you are 36 to 45. 22% of you are 46 to 55, and 32% each are 56 to 64, or 65 and older. All right.
Okay. Mr. Moderator, will you please poll first the advisory delegates and then the commissioners with the following question. With what race, ethnicity do you identify?
All right, first the advisory delegates. With what race or ethnicity do you identify? You will press 1 if you identify Asian or Pacific Islander, 2, Black African American, 3, Hispanic, Latino, Latina, 4, Native American, Indigenous, 5, White or Caucasian, 6, Middle Eastern, 7, Other. Advisory delegates, please vote when your keypad is active. Please begin completing your voting. All right, any delegates who have not yet voted? Okay, all right, seeing none, we will await results. Okay, of our TSADs, 5% identify as Asian or Pacific Islander, 14% Black or African American, 9% Hispanic or Latino, Latina, 59% White or Caucasian, 14% Other. Of our YADs, 6% Asian or Pacific Islander, 7% Black or African American, 1% each of Hispanic or Latino, Latina, and Native American Indigenous, 79% White Caucasian, 6% Other. Of our ecumenical advisory delegates, 11% Asian or Pacific Islander, 11% Black or African American, 22% Hispanic or Latino, Latina, 33% White or Caucasian, and 11% each, Middle Eastern and Other. And of our missionary advisory delegates, 83% White or Caucasian, 17% Middle Eastern. All right, we will now poll our commissioners. We'll get these questions back up on our screen. Let's take a vote by a show of hands. Have you hugged a Presbyterian today? Please raise your hand if so. Fantastic. Any opposed to hugging a Presbyterian? Same sign. Find one of those people and hug them now. No. All right. As the stated clerk says, this is why we have a good shakedown at the beginning. We want to make sure this thing works. All right. Hi, Ken. We all love you. Yes. Okay, here we are. Fantastic. So, commissioners, it's your opportunity to vote. With what race or ethnicity do you identify? Again, the options are 1, Asian or Pacific Islander, 2, Black or African American, 3, Hispanic or Latino, Latina, 4, Native American, Indigenous, 5, White or Caucasian, 6, Middle Eastern, 7, Other. Commissioners, please vote when your keypad is active. Commissioners, please begin completing your voting now. Are there any commissioners who have not voted? All right, then we will await the results. All right, 2% of us are Asian or Pacific Islander. 9% of us identify Black or African American. 2% of us identify Hispanic or Latino, Latina. 1% Native American or Indigenous. 82% White or Caucasian. 1% Middle Eastern, and 3% other.
Okay. Mr. Moderator, will you please poll first the advisory delegates and then the commissioners with the following question? I am a person with...
Here is your question. I am a person with 1, please vote 1 if a disability needing accommodations for daily living activities, or please press 2, a disability not needing accommodations for daily living activities. Advisory delegates, please vote when your keypad is active. Advisory delegates, please complete your voting. Have any advisory delegates not gotten the opportunity to vote? All right, seeing none, we will await results. All right, of our TSADs, 7% said, I'm a person with a disability needing accommodations for daily living activities, and 93% said, I am a person with a disability not needing accommodations for daily living activities. Of our YADs, 4% said, I am a person with a disability needing accommodations for daily living activities. 96% indicated they are a person with disabilities not needing accommodations for daily living activities. Of our ecumenical advisory delegates, 30% indicated they are a person with a disability needing accommodations for daily living activities, and 70% a person with a disability not needing accommodations for daily living activities. And of our missionary advisory delegates, 100% indicated that they are persons with a disability not needing accommodations for daily living activities. All right, commissioners, we will now poll you. Again, here are your options. Please press 1 if you are a person with a disability needing accommodations for daily living activities, or 2 if you identify as a person with a disability not needing accommodations for daily living activities. Commissioners, please vote when your keypad is active. So I am a person. I am not a person with disabilities. Is that what the intention is? Got it. Done. Commissioners, please begin wrapping up your voting. Are there any commissioners who have not yet voted? Okay, then we will await results. Okay, of our commissioners, 49 of us identify as a person with a disability needing accommodations for daily living activities, and 397 of us identify as a person with a disability not needing accommodations for daily living activities.
Mr. Moderator, on behalf of the General Assembly Committee on Representation, I wish to thank you for this opportunity. And I do pray God's blessings on this wonderful gathering, this General Assembly.
Thank you, Elder Marion. Yes. Where is Robert? Oh, there is 5. I will now call upon Robert Hay at microphone 5.
Hey, Junior, and I'm a ruling elder from St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Atlanta, Georgia. This week I'm volunteering as the Student Assistant Coordinator. The student assistants are here to support you in a variety of ways during plenary and during your committee meetings. During plenary, the student assistants will be easy to identify. We will all be wearing these very stylish blue aprons. And of course, we'll be sitting at the red tables on each side of the plenary hall. If you are having trouble, please wave at one of us or come to the table and we will assist you. Each committee will also have a student assistant assigned to them that will be available in the committee room with you while you're doing your meeting. We're here to support you in many ways, but one of the primary functions is to support you with PC Biz. Here are just a few information pieces that will help you as you begin to use PC Biz and the networks at the Convention Center. First, while here in the plenary hall, we ask that all commissioners and delegates use the Ethernet cord provided to you on the table. Observers here in the hall may access the wireless network called PCUSA. That's creative. The wired connection in here and the wireless network in here are called PCUSA, only provide access to PC Biz. You cannot access the internet through these connections. When you're in committee rooms, you'll be using your wireless connection. The wireless network there is also called PCUSA. There's a wireless, in case you need internet, there is wireless internet access available in the concourse where you registered and in the exhibit hall B. These are the only connections in the convention center with internet access. Once you have connected your computer to the network, either with the Ethernet or with your wireless connection, to access PC Biz, you simply open your web browser and go to the web address www.pc-biz.org. We ask that you either use Internet Explorer or Firefox as your web browser. Once you are in PC Biz, you can find all of the business of the committees, the agendas and the schedules for each committee, and some other resources like the Book of Order, the Book of Confessions, and the GA Manual. One of the best features of PC Biz is the feature called Session Sync. Session Sync allows you to follow whatever the current item of business is for a committee or for a plenary session. To use it, you simply go to the Session Sync tab and select the committee you want to sync with, and then your screen will automatically be directed to the current item of business for that committee. When the committee moves to the next item of business, your screen will automatically update to show the new item of business. We encourage you to use this feature of PC Biz as it makes it easy for you as a commissioner or a delegate or observer to always be looking at the current item of business. Finally, I want to remind you that the student assistants are here to help you. So if you have questions or need help, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you, Mr. Vice Moderator.
In addition to PC Biz, you will sometimes find handouts at your seat providing an outline of the business or additional information about the assembly. I also want to point out to the tables just to my right, your left, when you enter the plenary hall. These tables provide individuals and groups a way to offer you additional information of interest and publications which might be helpful in your work. I encourage you to check these tables frequently during the course of the week.
We also want to identify those who will be serving as chaplains on call for the assembly, and they are now coming to microphone 5.
Hi, I'm John Vanderzee, Director of Chaplaincy at Indiana University Health Bloomington.
And hi, I'm Pam Fisher. I'm Director of Chaplaincy at Ephrata Community Hospital and Cancer Center at Ephrata, Pennsylvania, north of Lancaster. You can learn more about us, the chaplains, on page 11 of the program book. In addition, we are carrying calling cards with both our numbers, so if you think you're going to have a need or know of someone, you can just ask us for a card. John's the top number, I'm the bottom number.
We are here to assist you who are attending assembly with any personal crisis that you may have. To reach us, simply visit the General Assembly Information Center in the concourse. Thank you, Mr. Vice Moderator.
Two additional important points. In the covenant that we made with each other during opening worship, we promised to hold ourselves to a high standard of conduct. The Presbyterian Church has been very purposeful in identifying the debilitating effect misconduct has on a community, whether it is sexual misconduct or physical intimidation. As commissioners, delegates, visitors, and staff of this assembly, we are promising not only to abide by the policies of our church, but to live as those who follow the Lord Jesus Christ. Secondly, on behalf of your fellow commissioners, you are reminded of the policy on cell phones and social media. The use of cell phones is forbidden during the meetings of the assembly. When using social media, please remember that we are called to be present and attentive to those sisters and brothers who are around us and to the working of the Holy Spirit here in this hall.
Finally, Mr. Moderator, I want to thank the many volunteers from churches all over the denomination who are here to assist in conducting this assembly. You've met many of them today. Most of those you see in leadership positions, from parliamentarians to committee assistants, from musicians to people who create the images and text you see on the screen, all these people are volunteers who are giving of their time and energy to serve the assembly. My final word of orientation is to point to the program book that was in your registration packet. It is a valuable tool that holds answers to many of your questions, including information on safety and security, getting around the building, health concerns, expense reimbursement, and the clandestine super secret code for what the color badges actually mean. And now let's get to work, Mr. Moderator.
The moderator calls again on the stated clerk to tell us about the committee structure for this assembly.
Mr. Moderator, the Standing Rule C1A calls for the stated clerk to recommend to the assembly the number and designation of committees appropriate to doing the work before the assembly. After reviewing the work for this assembly, I have proposed the committees as described in business item 00-03. At this time, it will be appropriate for the assembly to ratify this committee structure.
All right. So we are going to vote to ratify the business item 00-03. Let's go ahead and try our keypads one more time just to make sure that's great. Yeah, I see you flipping open your, that's good. We will, of course, poll the advisory delegates first. So if we could get that on the screen for us. It's coming. Okay, fantastic. No. We need a yes and a no, I believe. You have to ratify it. There is no option.
That's why there's a sound of a railroad.
That's awesome. There we are. Fantastic. Advisory delegates. We're going to ask you to vote first. Please press 1 to vote yes on item 00-03. Please press 2 for no, 3 to abstain. Advisory delegates, please vote now. It's a good addition to the process. Cumbersome, but good. Advisory delegates, please begin completing your voting. Are there any advisory delegates who have not voted? All right, then we will await results. TSADs say yes, 95%, abstain 5%. YADs say yes, 92%, abstain 8%. Ecumenical advisory delegates, yes, 67%, abstain 33%, and 100% of the missionary advisory delegates voted yes. So, commissioners, you have been advised, all right, it is now your turn to vote. Again, 1 is a yes vote, 2 is a no vote, 3 is an abstention. Commissioners, please vote when your keypad is active. Please begin completing your voting. Are there any commissioners who have not voted? All right, seeing none, we will await results. Okay. Oh, got it. All right, 96% say yes, 1% says no, 3% abstains. So the item is approved. All right. We're moving on here. Okay, the moderator now recognizes Commissioner Eustacia Marshall, moderator of the Assembly Committee on Business Referral.
Greetings. I am Eustacia Marshall, teaching elder commissioner from the Presbytery of Charlotte, and I am the moderator of the Assembly Committee on Bills and Overtures, and as such, also the moderator of the Committee on Business Referrals. The Committee on Business Referrals is composed of the moderators and vice moderators of all the Assembly committees. Because this group of commissioners meets before the Assembly starts to learn about the Assembly's business and procedures, they can make some of the recommendations that will enable you as moderators that will enable you as the members of the committees to have business before you. Tom Harmon, teaching elder commissioner from the Presbytery of the Miami Valley and vice moderator of Bills and Overtures, and therefore vice moderator of Business Referrals as well. We will both present to you recommendations from the Business Referral Committee necessary for the Assembly to conduct the business and program of the 220th General Assembly. The moderators and vice moderators of your committees met in early June and again yesterday to be prepared for the work you will be doing during this assembly and to make these recommendations to you as the Committee on Business Referrals. The Committee on Business Referrals is committee number 1. And these recommendations can be seen on PC Biz under that committee. Item 01-01 is the proposed docket for the Assembly. It does not have the order the committees will report, but rather indicates the time slots when reports will be heard. The order of committee reporting, along with other adjustments to the docket, will be recommended by the Bills and Overtures Committee once the report's near completion. I move adoption of the proposed docket 01-01.
All right, the committee has moved. I will recognize the commissioner at microphone 5 with the question.
That's for the next one. It's for 0102.
All right. Commissioner at microphone 3, are you also?
0102.
0102. Okay. All right, then the motion from the committee is before you. We will take a hand vote. Advisory delegates, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Any abstentions, same sign. All right, commissioners, you have been advised. Commissioners, we will take a vote also by hand. So commissioners, all in favor of the item, please raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Any abstentions, same sign. The motion carries.
Item 0102 is an item presented to the Assembly to report the progress or completion of referrals made by previous assemblies. When the Assembly refers something to an agency or entity, that agency or entity must report back to the Assembly its response to the referral. This item reports those referrals still in progress and those completed. The Business Referral Committee recommends approval of this report as amended. The report and its amendments are listed in PC Biz. This item is a consent motion. If there is no objection, the whole report will be approved in one vote. Items pulled from the report will be referred back to the submitting agency. Mr. Moderator, it would be appropriate to ask if any items should be pulled from the report for further consideration.
I believe we have a commissioner at microphone 5.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Justin Marple, Teaching Elder Commissioner from Western New York. I want Roman numeral 2, letter B, number 2, 2010 referral item 1812 pulled. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Commissioner, microphone 3.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Reggie Weaver, Teaching Elder Commissioner from Chicago Presbytery. I would ask that item H21 be extracted.
Thank you. Okay, all right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right, let's take a vote on that item. Advisory delegates, all in favor of item 0102 with those items extracted. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Okay. All right, commissioners, you have been advised. So we are voting on item 0102 with those two items pulled. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Any abstentions, same sign. All right, the motion carries.
Item 0104 recommends suspending Standing Rule A2A in order to receive late business from entities of the General Assembly. The business listed in 0104 is already listed with the committee that will consider it, so it is not new to you. This action will require a 2/3 majority of the Assembly, and the committee recommends approval of this item.
All right, the committee has moved approval of the item. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, we will move to a vote. Again, we will do this by hand. Advisory delegates. All those in favor of item 0104, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Any abstentions, same sign. All right, commissioners, you have been advised. All those in favor of item 0104, please raise your right hand or left hand. Any opposed, same sign. Any abstentions, same sign. The item carries.
Item 0103 is the referral of business to the Committee of the Assembly, to the committees of the Assembly. The committee recommends approval of item 0103 as amended. The amendments are changing some items of business from one committee to another, usually due to similar business already being assigned to the new committee. Leadership of both committees have been involved in recommending these changes.
All right, the committee has moved item 0103. Is there any discussion? All right, advisory delegates. All those in favor of item 0103, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Same sign. Any abstentions? Same sign. All right, commissioners, you have been advised. All those in favor of item 0103 as moved by the committee, please raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Item passes.
Item 01, info, simply reports that the committee approved the distribution of the materials you found at your seat when you entered the hall this afternoon. The Bills and Overtures Committee usually handles this kind of business, but that committee has not yet met, so the Business Referral Committee has made the approval. Mr. Moderator, this concludes the Business Referrals Committee's report. The business and program of the 220th General Assembly is now before the body.
Thank you. All right. Before I turn the meeting over to the stated clerk for announcements, I want to say something about the process for the election of your moderator this evening. The Biennial Review Committee asked those who are standing for moderator to adopt their recommendation to eliminate nominating speeches. By agreeing to this request, the candidates are giving you a chance to experience the Biennial Review Committee's recommendation before you are asked later in the week whether you want to make that change permanent. Its intent is to give you more time to focus on the candidates as they present themselves. The candidates were emphatic that in adopting this model, they did not want to go against the will of this assembly. So if you wish to hear nominating speeches, and they are prepared to go back to the old pattern if there is a call to do so from the body. When it is time for the election, the moderator will recognize commissioners at floor microphones who are prepared to put names of those standing for moderator into nomination. We will then proceed with speeches from the candidates as outlined in the standing rules. We have now reached the end of our agenda for the afternoon. Mr. Clerk, are there any announcements for the good of the body?
I will remind you that the deadline for new business, Commissioner resolutions, is 1:30 p.m. Sunday, July 1st. Please deliver any Commissioner resolutions to the tracker's desk in the GA operation areas downstairs below the exhibit hall. Commissioners and advisory delegates will move after this session to the exhibit hall for a group dinner and orientation to the 6 agencies of the General Assembly. The dinner will be served at tables in the hall. Coffee and dessert will be at tables scattered around the exhibit hall to allow you to visit all of the agency booths. Only booths associated with the 6 agencies will be opened this evening, and only commissioners, advisory delegates, and agency representatives will be allowed into the exhibit hall during this dinner. It's a continuation of your orientation. Please take advantage of this opportunity to engage with representatives of your 6 agencies, but we encourage you to come back during other breaks to visit all the booths and to learn more about the variety of ministries and expressions of your church that you'll find represented there. In preparation, I now call your attention to the report of the 6 agencies publication that was distributed to your seats and invite you to view the following 6 agency video.
We put in the bulletins that the members are ministers. Well, in this church, the members really are ministers.
The confidence that this church will succeed, it will grow, is just there. Everyone feels very comfortable. There's no doubts. We've come this far, and we're going to continue to grow.
I think our members have always been strong church people. They've always been involved in things. They know what it means to be the church.
The Board of Pensions cares for the servants of our church, people like Chuck and Laura, and it gives us confidence to know that people of their caliber are going to be provided for in retirement.
That additional compensation ongoing to our pastors is really critical to the whole success of our church. That really allows their relationship with us to really be more about, let me take care of the congregation, let me grow this, let me allow God's mission to be done in this church.
We are very well cared for through the Board of Pensions and the medical plan. And this is a huge asset that this small congregation is able to offer to its pastors. And there's so many things that you and I don't have to worry about because the Board of Pensions is taking care of that on our behalf.
The mission agency inspires, equips, and connects Presbyterians to the world.
It's a blessing that we can come together with other churches and collect the one great hour of sharing offering so that we know that our dollars are being used to help people around the world.
Well, I think that's what a church is all about, what they do for the community, and not the community just locally, but globally also.
Because we were a part of the U.S. Congregational Survey, which was done last fall, we have a lot of information which has been given to us, which will help us in our evangelism.
There's so much need in the world. I mean, where do you start? And I think that's where, resources such as the General Assembly Mission Council, putting us in touch, with the various missions that the church does worldwide so that we can be a part of it and participate in that.
God has called us to be involved in outreach. I think God's called us to be His hands and feet here on earth.
The Office of General Assembly helps the church be the church. It empowers us to be the church in our community. It helps us to go out and meet the needs around us in our community.
These are all people who really want to be church together.
One of the members of the congregation had a relationship with Chuck and Laura from the past, and when we started looking for a new pastor, he had said, I've got these people that might be interested in coming back to the Austin area.
We had a call from the church saying we're needing some people to come, and we're needing them to be there part-time, and we need somebody that has some experience.
To have ministers like Chuck and Laura, it exceeds our wildest dreams to have them there at the helm, guiding us along in such a marvelous teaching way.
We could not be happier with their leadership at this point. And just working through certainly the General Assembly and the various options that we would have with leadership like that. I mean, we've been incredibly blessed just with their entire background, with the various people that they know. It's just been incredible.
I'm grateful that the Office of General Assembly has a process that matches the right pastor with the right church.
Each church has its particular culture, and I think right now with this particular set of circumstances, this culture has blossomed. I think it's their sense of dedication to the church, their love for Jesus Christ, their sense that the Spirit is at work, and they are moving around as fast as they can to find where that's happening and to become a part of it.
Presbyterian Foundation brings people in mission together and allows us to operate on a larger scale than we would otherwise.
I just felt blessed at this time in my life to find a new church. And the exciting part to me is that they're starting a whole new project. And it's so exciting. It's exhilarating to think that they're planning and all the people that are going to benefit. I think as soon as they open the doors, the people are going to come.
It takes an individual decision to give, but the Presbyterian Foundation has the fiduciary responsibility, but also the skills to manage those resources so they can be applied as best meets the mission.
I was so eager to contribute because I knew that we needed money to do this, and I knew that I couldn't, at this point, give what I would like to give. So it occurred to me, I can leave in my will money that I don't have now free to give.
Whenever a situation occurs, whatever it might be, someone is there from the church to step up and say, let's help, let's do what we can do.
The Presbyterian Foundation is very important to us because it tells us how to give in different ways that we might not have thought of. I don't feel my gift as a responsibility at all. I feel it as an outpouring of my tremendous gratitude for blessings and for this church, for thanksgiving for this church.
The Presbyterian Investment and Loan Program was very important to us. That's how we got a low-cost loan to start our church building.
We have a wonderful relationship with the folks at the Presbyterian Investment and Loan Program. Not only were they able to give us a loan at a very reasonable interest rate, but they looked over our shoulders, they read our plans, they asked us questions.
And it became evident that they were going to work very hard to help make it happen, as opposed to figure out all the reasons why it couldn't.
It's really reassuring to have a loan from this particular organization because it's tailored to our church and our needs. It makes us have more confidence, really.
They are more willing to look at what our membership has pledged in the way of money, rather than the amount of cash we actually have on hand.
Their advice and encouragement has actually been as important as the loan itself.
Quite honestly, I'm not sure where we would have gone had PILP not been there. And I think in a general sense it makes me, and I think others, feel good that there is this larger organization behind us willing to help.
The Presbyterian Publishing Corporation provides most, if not all, of the resources that we use in our Sunday schools and our adult lessons and Bible studies and women's groups.
I don't believe that I would have had as complete of a curriculum for adult education without being able to use the Thoughtful Christian, because it already provides the Leader's Guide with lesson plans, which almost anybody can follow.
We are able to pull something offline with the Thoughtful Christian and immediately send that to one another on email. And this little church could not do Christian education without that kind of immediate accessibility.
I don't have that much background, but I have enough knowledge to go to their index, and I'm looking at the Presbyterian calendar, and each Sunday it gives a topic and the lectionary readings.
And we would really have no other source for publications that stimulated scholarship on these issues, that provided a source of conversations about morals, that gave us directions for what to think, and from that, what to do.
Being part of a larger denomination, a larger church, we had the resources and the tools to go to the large church and lay out what our plans were. And they were right there supporting us.
It's such a family. And the people who started it have been through so much together that they've got a real bond.
I think we all see each other's gifts that God's given us. We all see the Spirit moving in individuals in different ways. They not only want the church to grow and to succeed, but they want to do it because everybody has the love of God and want to see God's kingdom grow.
It's been wonderful, and we're starting to grow again, and I think God's hand is on us.
From time to time, especially with the gathering as large and as diverse and as many connections as we have, you will have prayer requests that you want to put before the assembly. If you wish to do that, just please have that information, give it to one of our seminary student assistants. They will get it backstage, and we will scroll those requests because we will receive many as the week goes on. One of those requests we have received today is for us to remember in our prayers the Reverend Keith Leach, and also the First Presbyterian Church of Cambridge, Ohio, which is in Muskingum Valley Presbytery. The church was destroyed on last Friday evening by a tornado. No one was hurt, but this is Keith's first call, and it's, of course, as you can imagine, very devastating to that church. So we're going to keep those in our prayer. Mr. Moderator, we will reconvene at 7 p.m. this evening for our second business meeting, the election of the moderator of the 220th General Assembly.
And with that prayer request in mind, I recognize Cameron Highsmith, Theological Student Advisory Delegate from San Francisco Theological Seminary, who will lead us in our closing prayer.
Last night I was reminded of a conversation I had with a fellow student of mine who is afraid to pray in public sometimes. And I said, brother, all you got to remember is that when you go to pray in front of people, if you let the Spirit speak through your heart, there is no such thing as a bad prayer. And as they drew my name from the hat last night, I said, please God, let that be true. Brothers and sisters, please join me in prayer. Loving and gracious God, we thank you for the time that you have given us to come together as a church. This week that we have together, we pray for many things. We keep in our hearts the ideas of justice so that people around the world may not know starvation or inequality. We pray that you may send your love to everybody around the world. But perhaps at the forefront of our mind, we pray that you allow the Spirit to move through us as we come together to discern what the church will be doing. We pray for equality, reconciliation, and love in our body. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
We stand in recess.